Logan was in the unusual situation of being outwitted by his kids in last week's episode after Kendall, Shiv, and Roman snatched Pierce away just as he was about to acquire it. He is prepared to finalize the selling of Waystar to Lucas Matson this week. Now though, the offspring might also prevent that. When Logan interrupts the tepid karaoke session that all four of his children are having on the eve of the Gojo Deal, there are echoes of that ridiculous incident towards the end of episode titled Rehearsal. It doesn't take long for Logan and the pertinent kids to start fighting, and Logan quickly apologizes in a brusque manner in an attempt to appease them. And once more, Connor is the impartial figure, helplessly trying to mediate a conflict in which he has largely watched from the sidelines. Although Connor doesn't have a say in any of this, he does have an interest in it because if the Gojo Deal fails, he won't get his multi-billion-dollar payout. When Connor uses his money to back a fringe campaign and a Broadway production that is so terrible that he wants to recast it as a so terrible it's good event, like he frequently feels like a distant supporting character in the show's calculations, the karaoke meeting blows up, but Rehearsal finally centers on Connor and a devastatingly excellent Alan Ruck for a monologue that reveals an acute, heartbreaking awareness of his marginal status. You learn to exist without a family, he says, which is a benefit of having one who doesn't love you. All of you are running after Dad and praising him. Now that his upcoming marriage to Willa is in jeopardy, he's doing everything to live through neglect and humiliation, but he's dying inside. He says, "You're needy love sponges, and I'm a plant that grows on rocks and lives off insects that die inside of me." The usual caveat when discussing how you feel about the Succession characters is that they are all pieces of crap. We would find them just as abhorrent if they actually lived as Rupert and Lachlan Murdoch or other wealthy world beaters and their failures. However, watching them in just that one perspective would be terrible television. The reason that Connor's monologue and the impromptu family gathering before it are so amazing is that the writers clearly understand the pain that all of these characters are going through. Connor may claim that he is immune to the pain, but he has been working to transform his transactional relationship with Willa into a real one, and it is teetering in two-step with the Gojo Deal. Perhaps the only TV fantasy more alluring than imagining a billionaire lifestyle is watching them suffer. The three pertinent children, along with Stewie and Sandy Furness, have a fantastic chance to mess with their dad once more, which is the cause of this explosive affair. In the very short term, swiping Pierce from under him was enjoyable, but at the start of the season, they are already thoroughly bored listening to olds discuss and come up with fresh ways to spice up the news. There's also the inevitable feeling of buyer's remorse, which would disappear quickly if they don't get the Gojo billions to pay for Pierce. "Maybe focus on Africa," says Kendall in improv mode. "Every day. Like, what's happening in Africa? Sub-Saharan East, Sub-Saharan West. I would watch that thing." So a strategy starts to take shape. Shiv, Kendall, and presumably Roman are the first three members of this brand new flimsy as the Glass Menagerie sibling alliance. They can swindle their father again if they join Stewie and Sandy in rejecting the agreement and requesting additional funds from Matson. Roman is wise enough to ignore Stewie and Sandy, saying, "So either we vote yes tomorrow, and we all make billions of dollars, or we sign up for your cool thing, then Dad disinherits us entirely." However, when Kendall receives a call from Matson personally, threatening to back out if the deal doesn't go through, it has the opposite effect of what Matson intended. He can now go back to the Italian villa from the conclusion of the previous season and actually stab his father this time. How is he going to reject that? Logan, on the other hand, isn't used to losing to anyone, much less his kids who are once more performing above their level. He overhears Shiv and Kendall discussing the benefits of waiting for a better offer, but he doesn't believe it. Besides, the idea of closing the deal and focusing on ATN is extremely appealing. This would be similar to what Murdoch did when he gave Disney the rights to 20th Century Fox and other film and television properties while keeping Fox Corporation and Fox News. He is anxious to communicate through it as directly as ever because it is his most potent toy and a force that has the power to make or break political careers. His address to the ATN newsroom soldiers is a stirring declaration of his evil intent. However, he might have misplaced his partner in the process. Logan doesn't seem to be able to disappoint Carrie as she is featured in the hilariously insane anchor audition video that is making the rounds. Imagine a situation similar to that in Citizen Kane, where Charles Foster Kane urged his mistress and second wife, Susan, to become a famous opera singer, only to find himself applauding by himself at the end of her appalling performance. Logan can't afford to let it get that far, so he passively abdicates the task to Tom. After a few awkward diplomatic missteps, Tom demonstrates true leadership skills by passing this hot potato along to Greg, who of course gets eaten alive. But if the kids achieved one triumph in their first encounter with their father this season, they may have destroyed this relationship by quickly undermining any plausible denial Logan might have had regarding Carrie's foiled TV star aspirations. Weird grins and flailing arms have no place in his new ATN, which is faster, lighter, meaner, and wilder. It will have to be another murderer with a dog-eared copy of Mein Kampf. The way Greg describes Logan, stalking the ATN floor while wearing shades like if Santa Claus were a hitman, is fantastic. But it's like Jaws if everyone in Jaws worked for Jaws still reigns supreme. Logan's plans to dismiss Sid are regrettable, in part because I would miss the great Genie Berlin and a hilarious rivalry she and Tom share. Tom accuses her of being completely uninterested. She doesn't stay late when it's opera season, and assigns her blame for the pricey news floor. Sid really loves the sense of space. Even in Connor's darkest hour, when his future bride has vanished to an unidentified location, Roman cannot help but persist. Connor speculates perhaps she's found a place she likes. Sure, Roman responds. All I'm saying is, on another man's dick, on a much bigger, nicer, harder, younger dick. A man of the people, Connor chooses to drink Belgian Witbier, the beer of the average man. Regarding the Carrie predicament, Tom said to Greg, it's like Israel-Palestine, but much harder and more crucial. Greg's effort to get off easy on Carrie is made funnier by his description of the fictitious focus group. It's a bunch of grandpas and little twerps and such. Leonard Cohen's famous Blue Raincoat is the song that Connor sings in karaoke, joining a distinguished list of performers who have done so, including Tori Amos, Jonathan Coulton, and Joan Baez. For what it's worth, a much better tune than the Eagles' Desperado. Roman, a victim of his father's violence, is constantly drawn back for affirmation. Remember that Kendall orchestrated a no-confidence vote in the middle of the first season to convince Waystor's board to remove the allegedly dementia-ridden Logan, but Roman wilted under pressure. In the final scene of the episode, Logan appears to have arranged for Roman to resume his position as the Matson Whisperer in the wake of the completed transaction, but we already know how that turned out. Although his father has restored his sense of purpose, it will only last for a short while. Shiv is the only one who understands that they need to broaden out and stop over-indexing to college professors. And as a potential hint, when Roman suggests infodumps during the day and a Clockwork Orange at night, he comes the closest to imagining what his dad might want. In this episode, the younger Roys go out of their way to undermine any pity that viewers might be harboring for them. When they enter one of Connor's less upscale establishments, do you suppose they know how to make a vodka tonic? Shiv chuckles, house red, I've missed you. Dare I? Later, when Roman sees the plastic menus showing standard pub fare like wings, he appears confused and repulsed. The Roy's disdain reeks and overflows,